Hello, my name is Andy and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to Bassetlaw. Now, if you watched my episode last Thursday, you will have seen the parish of West Stockwith, and I ended at a railway line, and that railway line was on North Car Road. And if you drive up North Car Road, you'll eventually come to this. We have a bridge over the River Idle, and we have a pub called the Haxey Gate Inn, and this is literally just over the parish boundary from West Stockwith and into today's. Welcome to Misterton. Now, the route I'm taking today around Misterton will take me over and under this bridge, because there's a footpath down the side of the canal. I'm walking around this in a kind of a figure eight sort of thing. Misterton is a large village and civil parish in the Bassetlaw district of Nottinghamshire. It lies in the far northeast of Bassetlaw and of Nottinghamshire, between Walkeringham to the south and Haxey in North Lincolnshire to the north. To the east of the village is the River Trent, and to the west, farmland. It lies 6 miles northwest of Gainsborough on the busy A161 between Beckingham and Goole. So here in something called the Jubilee Garden, which I'll talk about in a bit, there's a map, and this will show you the route I'm walking. So I've parked the car just here on Wharf Road. I've walked over that little bridge and I'm currently there, so I've literally just gone from there to there at the moment. Now I'm going to walk down the A161, down Station Street, all the way down to here, this area, because as you can see there's a doctor's surgery, a pharmacy, there's a playing field there, and then I'm going back up Station Road, because up there you can get on a footpath which runs past these canal locks and walk all the way along the Chesterfield Canal, under that bridge, to here, where I can rejoin this road, Gringley Road, and then I'm going to walk up Gringley Road to Church Street, and there's a housing estate here which I can walk around before coming down the rest of the high street back to here, where there's a post office and a shop, and then I'll walk back to the car there. So it is like a figure of eight. Now, all this lot down here, I'm not going to walk this, but I will drive it, because as you can see there's plenty of things down here. We've got a primary and nursery school here. There's a fire station there, which is important because that fire station is actually not in Misterton, it's in Walkeringham, so I need to catch that before catching this vet at the end. So basically the drive will go round down here, down Foxcovert Lane. There's a load of new houses there as well, which I haven't seen yet. I'm quite familiar with Misterton, but I've not seen those at present. So yeah, it'd be good to see what that looks like. The parish population at the 2011 census was 2,140, and this was estimated to be 2,145 in 2019. This is a village that's grown rapidly in the last 20 years. The 2001 census put the population at just 1,223. It has some interesting quirks of local geography, this one. As well as the main village, there's Misterton Carr to the west. This is an area of fenland. This fenland extends to the south of the River Idle, forming the lowest reaches of the Isle of Axholme, meaning a small part of the Isle we're used to seeing in North Lincolnshire is actually within Nottinghamshire. The village is the last on the A161 going north before Lincolnshire and the Isle of Axholme. The B1403 for Gringley on the Hill meets the A161 here. Prior to 1935, Misterton was the centre of the Misterton Rural District, which was absorbed by the East Retford Rural District, then in turn by Bassetlaw in 1974. The Misterton ward of Bassetlaw District Council contains the villages of West Stockwith and Misterton, but excludes some streets at the village's southernmost reaches, which actually belong to Walkeringham. For the locals, if you live on Stockwith Road, Newell's Terrace, Bramley Way, Pippin Close, or anywhere south of Foxcovert Lane, you're within Walkeringham Parish. A drive around later will show you where that area is. History time now. The place name Misterton seems to contain the Old English word minster, spelt with a Y as opposed to an I. This meant a monastery, the church of a monastery or religious body, or a church served by secular clergy. The Old English word tun, meaning an enclosure or farmstead, a village or an estate, means Misterton was likely monastery farm or settlement. In the Domesday Book, it appears as both Misterton and Mynsterton. At that time, most of the village was in the hands of Roger de Busley. There's a name we've met a few times. A lot of land in Nottinghamshire was granted to him, including Misterton, by William the Conqueror. The Busley estates passed to William de Lovetot, a major shareholder in Hallamshire, whose ancestors were said to be Busley's feudal dependents. Much like neighbouring Gringley and Walkeringham, in the 1800s bricks were made here. There were several wharfs on the Chesterfield Canal, likely for the transportation of them. There's been attempts since Roman times to drain the floodplain in the area. Only since the 1970s has drainage allowed it all to become arable land. Indeed, White's Directory of Nottinghamshire from 1853 tells us that a great part of Misterton at that time was still a swampy bog situated at the northeast angle of the county. Back then, in the higher parts of the parish, you could find both foliated and fibrous gypsum or plaster, used both for floors and ornamental work. Its township included farms at Cornley, Fountain Hill and Grovewood, and the Haxey Gate public house was mentioned too. The Idle is also mentioned, noted as a managed river. Drainage is something that Misterton does have some history with though. Most of the large ditches and waterways here are referred to as drains, the largest of which runs alongside the River Idle. Here then is where we need to talk about Misterton's sauce, which got a brief mention at the end of last week's West Stockwith episode. Easily mistaken for brickworks because they look so similar, Misterton's sauce comprises two magnificent brick pumping houses either side of what is known as the Mother Drain, dug in 1790. The Mother Drain's existence can be attributed to Cornelius Vermuyden. It's deep and canal-like and runs alongside the Idle, but at a much lower level. Misterton's sauce's main purpose was to raise the water from the low level of the drain to a height sufficient enough for it to flow away into the Trent. These days, the sauce is not used as such and has been converted into an art studio. It remains one of Misterton's most iconic landmarks. Now, in the Beckingham episode, you'll remember I mentioned a house where a friend of mine lived, the friend that I used to play snooker and darts with at the Beckingham Institute. And here in Misterton, I had a friend who lived here too. And that was his house right there. Demographics time. Misterton comprises some 16.78 square kilometres in total. An area of this size with a growing population also means the population density is ever increasing. At the moment it comes in at 127.7. Despite the growth, Misterton is still not very ethnically diverse and remains mostly white British at 99.5%. The average price for a house in this part of Bassetlaw comes in at £232,000. Kicking off the amenities, we have public transport, and the same two services we saw in West Stockwith call here. The Bassetlaw Bells services 97 and 98. The parish church is a Grade 1 listed building dedicated to All Saints. It belongs to the Church of England Diocese of Southwell and Nottingham. The east window of the Holy Cross Chapel was designed by John Piper and made by his glassmaker Patrick Rainteens. You may have noticed this one has a spire. There are very few spires in Bassetlaw. Most churches tend not to have them here for some reason. Misterton's spire was added between 1847 and 1849. Now the church is open because I can hear somebody inside. Let's go in and see if they're friendly. But knowing Misterton, they probably will be anyway. All Saints is part of a joint parish with All Saints Church Beckingham, St Mary Magdalene Church Walkeringham and St Mary the Virgin's Church West Stockwith. The original church was an ancient stone structure. There's a distinct possibility at one time it might have been called the Church of the Holy Cross. In 1824, the roof was damaged by a hurricane. As the lead fell to the ground, it damaged the southeast end of the building, which was repaired at a cost of £300. Yes, I was right. Absolutely friendly person in there. Was quite happy for me to go in and take a few shots of the church. And I've also been given this, a guide to and tour of the parish church of All Saints, Misterton. I bet there's plenty of information in that, some of which I've probably already told you in the voiceover. On the High Street is a Methodist chapel built in 1826 using bricks from an original meeting house. By the 1870s there were both a Wesleyan and a primitive Methodist church in Misterton. On Cornley Car Farm is something called the Misterton Christian Centre. This is where the Yorkshire Christian Camp takes place annually. The village has two pubs. These are the Red Hart and the Haxey Gate Inn. The Red Hart is within the village, whilst the Haxey Gate Inn is on the road north towards Haxey. It's next to something called the Millview Saddlery, which I eventually captured when this bus got out of my way. Here's the Haxey Gate Inn. 3 other drinking places have closed in the village. They were the Windmill, demolished in 1974, the Packet Inn next to the canal, and the Misterton Sports and Social Club, closed in 2016. There's some good provision parks and recreation wise too here. Close to the church we have Church Meadow, a nice big playground. To the south of the village is the playing field. This is where Misterton United Football Club play in the Gainsborough District League and the Doncaster Junior League. So as playing fields go, this one's quite extensive, so I'm not going to walk around all of it. I'll just detail what's here. We've got a play park there in the corner, and then if I turn the camera around, we've also got a small football pitch. There's a cricket pitch beyond that, and that's the pavilion you can see just there with some sight screens. Over there, I think is a bowls green. There's some shrubs or something in the way, so I can't tell if that's a bowls green. And there's a multi-use games area in the corner over there. That's Misterton playing field. Here's Misterton Surgery, also in this area close to the playing field. And going hand in hand with that, we have a pharmacy just a few paces away. Both buildings are adjacent to the Doncaster to Lincoln railway line. The village primary school is located on Grovewood Road, on the former site of a secondary school. Originally, the primary school buildings were on the High Street. Here they are, still very much recognisable as an old school. They now house the Youth and Community Centre, next to which is a library. Retail facilities here are good. Almost directly opposite the old school is a co-op. And opposite we have Wayne Howe Butchers. It's always good to promote local business, so I've linked the website for them below. Here's Misterton Shippy. Anyone out there who watches any competitive eating channels on YouTube might know this. Beard Meats Food was one who took on their Codbuster Challenge, 32 ounces of pure cod. And if the Codbuster Challenge is not your thing, across the way we have a pizza shop, Misterton Pizza. So, just about to finish this video off, and the guy at Misterton Shippy there saw me filming outside, offered me in for a cup of tea. Told you Misterton folk were nice. The Doncaster to Lincoln railway line runs north to south to the east of the village, currently with no station between Gainsborough and Doncaster. However, Misterton used to have one. Misterton railway station is behind these trees. This is as close as I could get to it. It was closed by British Railways in 1961. Misterton stands on the Chesterfield Canal, and much of the walk I took around the village, as you saw earlier, was along the towpath or Cuckoo Way. The towpath passes 2 locks which the village has, these being Misterton Bottom Lock and Misterton Top Lock. Here is the bottom lock, which is right next to Station Road. This area has plenty of moorings, not surprising when you consider what used to be here. Now, I thought I knew Misterton pretty well, but before I came here I found out that there was actually a pub here, and it was called the Packet Landing. We can see now it's just houses, but there is something which gives away that it used to be here. And there it is, the old pub sign. Misterton stands on a stretch of the canal which runs between bridges number 80 at Gringley Road and 84, which is where the railway line crosses the canal. The two locks, top and bottom, are numbered 63 and 64 respectively. Here's the top lock. There are 65 locks on the canal in total. Originally, all the locks were only numbered, but over time, names evolved, usually reflecting local structures or place names. The bridges all retain their numbers. Here we pass under Bridge 82, which carries a public footpath over the canal from Hillside Avenue. The canal and locks on this section of the canal were renovated between 1995 and 2002, and at that time the lock gates were given plates with both their name and number. As we continue to walk down the canal, we approach Bridge 81, which is where Wharf Road and Grovewood Road join each other at Misterton Wharf Bridge, where this video began. So here we are, I'm just about to cross under the bridge where I started. You'll notice this footbridge has got a number 2, 81A, suggesting that's newer than the road bridge. Now, do you remember in the Walkeringham episode where I talked about the fuel depot and the small markers which tell you where the oil pipeline is? Here's one in Misterton. I couldn't get close to one in Walkeringham. This is what they look like. This one's here on Gringley Road. Here's the War Memorial standing proudly outside the churchyard on the bend on the A161. It looks pretty good right next to All Saints in the early March sunshine. Close to Misterton Chippy and the Pizza House is a tree which has a plaque underneath it. It was planted for a Jubilee celebration. This building with the Queen adorning its side is the former Village Institute, built in 1897 to commemorate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. The slightly worn away stone on the front of it affirms this. It was last used in 2002 as a snooker club and has since been left to go derelict. Where the A161 through to the Isle of Axholme crosses the River Idle at the Haxey Gate Inn, we find the Haxey Gate Bridge. The bridge is a late 18th century single arch stone bridge and it's Grade 2 listed. Now I don't know for sure, but I imagine it used to carry the road before being replaced by the one I'm filming from. Fun fact for you about the River Idle, until the 1600s the river here was known as By's Car Dyke. It flows towards West Stockwith where it meets the Trent. And to finish off the main portion of the video, we have the Jubilee Garden we briefly saw earlier. Okay, I'm back on Grovewood Road where I began, and now I'm going to be heading down Grovewood Road to Foxcovert Lane, passing things like the school and the fire station and a few other bits and bobs as I make my way to the south of the village and then back to the north to go to my next one. Time for a picture bit, and here it comes right now. Cycle barn on the left and Hill House Equestrian. entering a 20 limit, coming down towards Misterton Primary School. Misterton Primary School on the right. Infinity Business Park on the left. Under the railway line. And there's the fire station on the right. Called Misterton Fire Station, but Box Covert Lane is the parish boundary and everything to the right here belongs to Walkeringham. Road to West Stopwith in front of me, and these houses here on the right, these also belong to Walkeringham. This is Newell's Terrace. On the right, Pinfold House Veterinary Clinic. And here we are at the sports ground and the pharmacy and the doctor's surgery with the station on the left that we saw earlier. Time for me to head to my next one in Bassetlaw. Cheers all for watching, hope you've enjoyed the parish of Misterton. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.